What's up, Faith Family? Jarvis Guy and the Void Jarvis YT here, and today we're going to be reviewing episode 3 of My Adventures with Superman, which is entitled My Interview with Superman. So, as you can tell, they are already getting very creative with the titling for this series. And honestly, man, after watching the episode, I was pretty satisfied. I thought that was a really enjoyable episode. I think really the only negative thing that I have to say about it is that the animation got really janky near the end. It was like comically bad in some parts, but I think in terms of what matters, like the story, the characters, I think everything worked out pretty well. Although there is like a big overarching problem that I think this series is going to have that we will address later. But first, let's talk about the positives. First off, I do like how they're continuing to develop the relationship between Superman and Lois. I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're going to get together. I mean, that's part of the Superman mythos, but I just think it's really nice that Lois is falling for Clark Kent and not necessarily Superman, because we see Lois falling for Superman himself in a lot of incarnations, but I'm just glad to see a true human connection. I'm glad to see that Clark Kent, he doesn't have to take on this larger than life persona just to impress Lois Lane. He's just being himself, and I think that's honestly a good message for the show to promote. And I think the opening rescue with the blimp crashing into the building and Superman saving the pilot, I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a really cool way to open the episode, and that just felt quintessentially Superman to me. But moving on into some of the negatives about this episode, I will say that, again, the animation near the end did feel pretty janky. There was one scene in particular where it just felt like they were scaling an object up. It wasn't even moving. Like, the intention was for it to be moving towards Superman, but in the background it was just getting larger, and it looked really stupid and computerized. Now, I of all people shouldn't be saying that an animated show looks stupid and computerized, because every animated series I do looks stupid and computerized, but this is a big budget animated TV show, so I think they could have done a little bit better than that. There may have been some budget constraints, I don't know, but I thought that was definitely a low point of the episode. I think the rest of the animation throughout the episode looked fine. It was really just near the end where things just sort of fell off a cliff. It's like the climax is usually supposed to have the best animation, but in this case it had some of the worst animation. And circling back to this overall problem that the series has, it's that, who are these villains? Honestly, man, because we've seen like about 5 different villains in this series so far. And I assume all of them are connected to Energang or whatever, which, I mean, I appreciate the Black Adam reference, but it's like, why are they important? How do they relate to Superman? At least with someone like Lex Luthor, who they've already said isn't going to appear in this first season. But with someone like Lex Luthor, he has a distinct relationship with Superman. They're like arch nemesis. I just don't understand Superman's connection to Energang, since the whole twist at the end is that Superman doesn't even know that they exist. He doesn't know that all of these villains are connected. And so I think that really just takes away a level of, I guess, narrative depth from the show, because it's like, sure, we get Superman as a good guy. He's supposed to solve all the problems, but, he should have some more external motivation to fight these villains aside from, oh, well, they're just doing a bad thing, but I have no idea that they're connected, And he's supposed to be like an investigative journalist, or at least a journalist in training. So I don't know why he wouldn't make the connections that these crimes might have something to do with each other. I don't know. That's really just a nitpick, but hopefully the second season gives Superman a more well-defined villain, because I think Energang right now, it isn't really cutting it. But either way, man, I think with that said, those are my thoughts on episode 3 of My Adventures with Superman. Honestly, I'm really enjoying the series. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would, and I really hope that, I guess, Warner Bros. or Adult Swim don't just cancel the show after this season. Well, the show was confirmed to get a second season, so of course it's going to go on for that long, but I really hope this gets a third season. I hope this show gets a long run, because I think this is going to honestly go down in history as one of the best incarnations of Superman that we've seen, at least in the 21st century, because some of the other incarnations we've had, I mean, they do have their good elements, but you absolutely can't deny that they've had their downsides. Just look at Brandon Routh Superman. His movie was too long, and it was incredibly boring, and it has Kevin Spacey in it. Just look at Henry Cavill Superman. He was in some very divisive movies. They did a fake out death in Batman vs. Superman, only to bring him back as a villain in Justice League. And then they brought him back in Black Adam just to get rid of him after rebooting the DC universe. So it seems like every Superman we've gotten in the 21st century is just cursed. So I think My Adventures with Superman might be the first solid incarnation that we've seen of the character in this century. That's an absolutely crazy thing to think about. Let's just see what James Gunn does. He might change the tide with all this. But either way, man, that's my review. I've been your host, Jarvis Godden. Stay tuned for more diecast content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.